Hello, everyone. My name is Taylor Merrick. I'm the CEO of Steadfast Social Media. I want to welcome you to tonight's presentation, Ways to Save Time During Social Content Creation. Now, this is actually kicking off what will be a weekly series here. And I know it's Thursday, but every Monday from here on out, we'll be looking at ways to save time, something along those lines, to save time during social content creation, whether that's the beginning stage, middle stage, end stage, when you're creating content for your clients. And we're just going to be looking at ways to help you out with that. And then on Thursdays, we will be having a Ask Me Anything / Q&A session where I'll hop on Facebook Live. We can have a conversation. Maybe I'll be able to bring people on, a group of people on, or maybe we'll just do a question, like a text, submit your text question in, and I'll reply to it in the video. Facebook's Live is kind of interesting, I will say. So without further ado, let's get started and take a look at the agenda for tonight's presentation. First off, we'll be looking at creating an intake form, followed by repurposes for other platforms, followed by leveraging content from your community, followed by test for engaging content. Now, before we can get into all of that, I just want to take a quick poll, and if you're watching the recording of this, feel free to leave a reply or a comment or send me an email with your poll answer. Emails Taylor at steadfastsocialmedia.com. The question is, how many clients do you manage currently? 1, 3, 5, or more? I'll give you a couple minutes just to think through the answer here and then type it out and send it over. I will be looking at all the replies and comments on the video wherever it's posted and jumping into the conversation there. But from most of the feedback I've gotten so far and what I'm looking at currently is there's a handful who have 1 client, and then it's split between 3 and 5 or more. Now, if you only have 1 client, what tonight's presentation will help you out with is probably putting together a framework or a process to help you save time with this 1 client initially, and then you can build on that with additional clients that you bring in. However, the majority being 3 to 5 or more, I know exactly what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a lot of clients sending a lot of questions to you at various times of the day and varying degrees of distraction. When you're trying to be focused, creating content for 1 client is kind of driving you nuts. You're like, what am I supposed to do? How is any sane creative person supposed to get content work and production and research done in a timely fashion and to the quality that they expect if you're having to field questions from people or make adjustments here and you don't have that focused time that you need or that time block set aside, or maybe you just don't know exactly what to do, so you just toss it all up in the air and hope something comes down, you can grab it and make sense. We're here to help you kind of come up with some ideas in ways that you can save time during the content creation process for your agency. So if you have 3 to 5 or more clients, this will definitely be up your alley. Now, as I said, the agenda. First off, we'll be taking a look at creating an intake form. Now, in other terms, it could be a questionnaire form, but what we're looking at right now is a screenshot of a very long, it continues on past this, it's like this long, and it's in depth. Creating an intake form. Well, why in the world would you want to create this? And this is actually a screenshot from what I send my clients to fill out. This isn't something that you can just fill out in a couple of minutes. This is something that some people handle over a Zoom video call or a phone meeting or an in-person meeting, depending on how you have these sessions or intake forms done. Here at Steadfast Social Media, we have an intake form. The client simply goes to it, fills out all his information, hits the submit button. They do know that they will be spending a lot of time upfront creating this, but the idea here is the most content we can get upfront, the better. It'll save us time during production. This is the kind of information that we want. Well, what kind of information are we looking for here in an intake form? Well, I have a list here that we'll be taking a look at. First up, research from current online links. And this is where you want to have in the form that you're going to be sending during the onboarding process to your client, links to their website, their Facebook page, their Twitter profile, their YouTube channel, their LinkedIn company page. Anything and everything, you want to make sure they have an intake box big enough, like a paragraph box or large size box, where they can just paste all of the links, especially to their website, so that you can click on those links and search everything about the client that you possibly need to know. And from that, you're gonna glean a lot of information during the research stage that'll help you save time during production. Remember, with the intake form and research that happens right after that, as much as you can get done up front so that you have an idea of everything about the client's needs, wants, desires, and what they currently have going on, you'll capture all of that. And it'll save you a lot of time, especially if you're constantly sending emails back and forth to your client, or having to have a phone call here and there, or a client says, hey, I have something else I wanted to send over to you. Okay, well, maybe I should gather all this information up front. The second thing in this intake form that you want to ask for is you want to find out audience demographics of your client, especially location. This is especially important if they're a restaurant, a retail store, brick and mortar. They serve a specific zip code, area, neighborhood, city, state, country, the world. You want to know that up front, because that kind of determines the type of content you'll be creating for them, especially when it comes to any kind of holidays, vacation days, current events going on in the city or neighborhood that they're in, to be able to provide content accordingly. If you know that up front, you'll know, hey, you're in America. Well, you're celebrating this holiday on this day. Oh, you're in Canada? Well, you celebrate this holiday on this day. You're in the UK? Okay, you have these holidays on these days. And plan accordingly for that. That'll save you a lot of time, so then you don't have to do any back and forth. You'll know this up front. By audience demographics, as much as possible, you might need to guide your client through the list of questions in terms of age range, gender, maybe income level, ethnicity, things of that along those lines. The more information you can get, the better, but if not, they might still be trying to figure that out, but that kind of helps you during the research and production stages to be able to create content according to the demographics that the client has provided you. And they're kind of telling too, especially if they are more in the affluent range of the income level, they have more money they're willing to spend. You now know exactly the kind of content to create for them compared to somebody who would maybe just want content at a different income level, or a product that's provided at a different income level. Like if you're making content for a Lamborghini client, it's very different than the content you're creating for a Toyota client, just for an example here. So just something to keep in mind. Third, in this intake form, you should be asking for brand guidelines. And I forgot to add an end bracket onto it, and we'll be fine. You want to ask up front, and this is especially true for the bigger, larger corporate clients that you get, brand voice, color palette, design, do's and don'ts, things to say and avoid, how you say it. You want to ask for all of that up front. This, again, depending on a client, they may or may not know about, but this is also something you can glean from their current online links, their website, past social media posts on the profiles that they have currently. That helps you a lot, especially when you're crafting content, because you'll know how they say it, how they want it to look, and what you say and you don't say, because you'd hate to create a whole bunch of content only to have your client reject it, and then you have to start all the way from square one again, going, well, I don't know what they want. Well, if you ask all of this up front in the intake form, that'll save you a lot of headache down the road. Fourth, you want to ask what their content goal is. Find out what their content goal is. Is it awareness, conversion, engagement, one of them, a couple of them? Then they kind of all lead into each other. And not all content needs to be only one. If you have a healthy blend of all three, it works out great. You want to know why? Because from a company standpoint, you can't be converting all the time. You can't be doing awareness all the time. You can't be doing engagement all the time. And you can kind of see the reason why if you're thinking through it. It's like, wait, because if you're just doing brand awareness, well, you're not getting conversions, right? Well, if you're just doing conversion all the time, you're just sell. Well, you're not getting any brand awareness. So everybody's going to be like, well, what's your brand about? Sell. Well, we don't know. Oh, this is why if you find out what their content goal is, and it might be one or another, but if you know the preference to what they lean towards, the content that you create towards that goal will help you immensely down the line. For the content, you can include the other ones. You can include a secondary one. Most of them are usually about awareness and conversion, but some clients want a lot of engagement and conversion, not so much concerned about awareness. But if you have a healthy mix of all three, brand awareness so that people know who the company is, what they stand for, what they do, why they do it. There's conversion posts in terms of call to actions or sales or discounts or specials or deals, reason to visit the website, reason to purchase from them, reason to show up in store, those type of posts. And engagement when it comes to social media. Do they like it? Do they comment on it? Do they share it? All three of them provide a very healthy social media profile, and you want to have a nice mix of all three. But if you know what their primary and secondary one is in terms of content goals, that'll go a long way. And if you ask this up front and they're kind of confused, explain it to them. McDonald's does brand awareness campaigns all the time. That's how we know who they are. And because of that, they don't have to make as many conversion ads, because people know I literally just have to throw up an awareness and people will go walk into the store and buy something. I don't really need to do anything. Case in point. So finally, in the intake form, you want to provide an option to upload documents, images, and videos. And this helps you kind of figure out their brand guidelines as well, and kind of mirrors off of the information you've gleaned from their social profiles, their websites, because you'll be able to see the voice that they use in the documents, the style that they use in their videos, the fonts that they use in their images, any color palette choices, brand colors, styles, designs, all of that. Now, if that means you have to create a Dropbox account or a Google Drive account, or maybe they have something already, or maybe they have some information on their hard drive on their computer, you'll want to get as much of that as possible. That helps you up front when it comes to research, so that when you get to the production stage, that'll help you save a lot of time, because you'll be looking at all of this stuff and you'll finally get an idea of the feel of the company, how they want to say it, how they want it to look. And then you don't have to spend as much time just going, well, I really wanted to know what they wanted, but I didn't really know how to ask it. Well, if you ask all of it up front, you know what to get. So we just covered, for the first item on our agenda, creating an intake form. And I know there's probably questions that are going to come in, so I'll just head on over to the question slide. Now, if you happen to have any questions on the agenda item, I know you're watching this as a video likely, but let me know down in the comment section if you have any questions regarding this, and I will hop into the chat and see what I can do to answer that for you. Sound good? Awesome. Let's move on. Second on the agenda is repurposing content for other platforms. Now, if you create content, you know that each platform is different, right? They have different audience demographics who are signed up, and through that, a smaller subset who are following your client's online social media profile. With that, each platform has limitations, whether that's video, how much video and how long you can go for, whether that's size for the video or the image, and if there are text limitations that go along with it. Now, I got 3 tips that I wanted to help out in this area to help you save time. First off, if you're using an image or a video, resize to fit the platform specifications. So if you're using images, you can actually create a free or a paid account. You should be able to do either with either of these recommendations, but you can actually upload the image into a certain online program, Canva, and you can resize it for Instagram, for Twitter, for LinkedIn, and you can do it with like 2 clicks of the mouse for free. Now, if that's too difficult for you to do, well, it might sound more difficult than it actually is. When it comes to video, Headliner can help you out with that, especially when it comes to the video limitations. But yeah, using image and video, you can use Canva for images, Headliners for videos. Resize the video or image content you use to fit platform specifications. Obviously, if you're watching, the audience is watching on a portrait mode on their smartphone, well, landscape video really isn't going to do them any good. But if they're watching vice versa on a different, it gets confusing. So make sure that the media that you use fits the platform specifications, just so that it doesn't look weird, but it looks like it fits nice with it. The second tip that I can provide for repurposing for other platforms is to rewrite the text content slightly to fit the platform. This would include hashtags, emojis, and the demographics of not only the social network itself, but the subset of the audience following that profile or page or channel. Instagram, you can get away with tons of emojis, tons of text content on depending on the post. With Twitter, you have a text limitation. So when you're creating the general post that you're going to be creating for, well, using for rather, each of the platforms you plan on posting it to, look at the message that you're trying to provide in that post, and then see if you can shorten it or elongate it. Now, it might be a little bit of a challenge, especially if you're not really word friendly or feel like a journalist, but if there's a limitation on Twitter and you're like, but this paragraph was really good, try to find the core message that you're trying to share in that post, pull it out, and see if you can shorten it, and then use that for Twitter. It might take some work initially up front, but soon you'll be able to get to kind of paraphrasing it in another way or shortening it in another way. It kind of reminds you at times of doing English classes at school, going, I gotta write 3 paragraphs on the same stinking thing. I could just say it in 1 sentence. Right. This is how it stretches your creativity, whether it's 3 paragraphs where you have to explain more, or a sentence where you have to explain less and get to the point. Well, make it fit the platform. Use hashtags accordingly. Some, depending on if it's a hashtag for Twitter, can be very different when it comes to Instagram. So that's all stuff that you'll have to keep in mind. And the final tip I can give you on that is to use a scheduling platform that'll allow you to schedule one post on multiple platforms, but also let you modify the text and or image for each platform. Ideally, you should be able to change what you need to. A couple platforms that do this really well are Later and Social Pilot. Those are the two that I've used so far. There might be others, but each scheduling platform usually lets you run a free trial just to get a feel for how they work, but you should be able to go create a general post, schedule it to test, and then go to each platform, open it up, and see if you can edit any Facebook post, Twitter post, Instagram post, because Twitter might have a text content limitation, whereas Instagram would not. So you'd have to kind of limit the paragraph that goes along with it and go, I gotta shorten it on Twitter. But if you can do that, that'll save you a whole lot of time. And then you won't be copying and pasting the same thing it looks like on every single platform. You'll actually be able to go in individually to each post and say, okay, on Twitter, I gotta shorten this up a little bit. For Instagram, I can add a couple emojis here. You should be able to just add that in, no problem. And then have it schedule up and post. That'll save you a lot of time, and then you can actually save time repurposing content for other platforms. You'll have that general post that you can use, and then you can modify it slightly to be able to post on each individual platform. So that's for agenda item number 2. Now, I know I covered a whole bunch, or maybe I explained something that you didn't quite catch. Feel free to let me know with a question down in the reply or comment section, however you're watching this video, and I'll do my best to hop in and answer the question. Keep in mind, if you're watching this on Thursdays, I will be having Q&A or a AMA session. I'm not sure exactly what to call it, where you can just hop in and ask any questions. So if you happen to have a question or are still thinking about it, hold on to it. When Thursday comes around, you have the chance to talk to me directly. Then you can just hop on the live video and answer your question there. Next up, leveraging content from your community. This is by far one of the easiest and most viral ways that, you can get a lot of content in a short amount of time, and it'll save you a lot of time and headaches, let me tell you. Leveraging community content is also called user-generated content. This is how you go about doing it, is by asking the group, community, following, whether it's a page or a Facebook group, if you can use their submissions. Now, for like a rarity, and this rarely ever happens, they'll say no, in which case don't use it. But for virtually everybody else, they'll say, yeah, no problem. And it immediately gives you a viral piece of content because they created it, and the brand, the company actually said, we'd like to use this image or graphic or video that you created or something that you shared and posted on our social media profiles. Oh, that customer will be over the moon. They will tell their friends, they will tell their family, and they'll all tune in to go take a look at it and react and engage, and that might be your highest engaging post in the history of all time, managing that social media client. But yeah, make sure you ask first. You can kind of get some buzz generated and going on. Or, if you don't have any, here's a couple options that you can look at. Second, search industry news, especially the competition. If the client that you're managing has competition, you're not fighting over the same client. I can't stress this enough. You're not fighting over a small, limited client pool of people who can buy. We live in a global economy, and even if your client isn't global, the reach is global, but you have unlimited amount of clients. Consider it a blue ocean. You're not fighting over a small pool. You You can literally pull from anywhere in the ocean. It's that wide open. But don't fight with the competition. But you already know that. But feel free to search the industry news. It's kind of community generated content. If the competition for this client has any really interesting news that you want to share, you can reach out to them to say, hey, I'd love to maybe partner up, use this together, kind of build off of it. Or you can kind of take the idea that they have, but then put your own spin on it. That way, if the competition decides to yell at the client, say, hey, you're not supposed to be using this, you can make sure for legal purposes there that you've kind of created your own idea off of it. It might have started with theirs, but if you can build off of it to the point where you can make it uniquely your client's, do so. Especially if your client does something better than the competition, you can just pull right from that. And the final tip I can give you is to visit Quora or another community forum for current questions in the client industry, and then repurpose that into content. I mean, think of it this way. Where could you possibly go to find out what people are currently asking right now that your client could answer? Well, Quora or another community forum where they're having a Q&A session going on. That's where you can pull it right from there and say, hey, question came in, send it over to the client and say, hey, do you want to make a quick video, or let me know if we could create like an image from this, or maybe you could shoot something with your product or service and we can create some content based off of that. Save you a lot of time, especially when you're able to leverage that, because then you repurpose it and you make it your own, and then you get more attention off of that. So just went over leveraging content from your community. This time I'll just pause briefly, see if there are any questions, and give you some time to think about it and write it up and leave it in the comments down below. But keep in mind, if you're not able to leave a comment, or if this is something you'd rather ask in more of a Q&A type style video, we will be doing that Thursday nights. Just be sure to follow us for details. I'll see if I can provide more information regarding that in the somewhere on this video. I'll see if I can do that. All right, last up, test for engaging content. Now, when it comes to engaging content, well, the algorithms on each platform are watching. So you'll want to avoid posts that say like, share, comment, subscribe, and follow, because immediately that post will get dinged and thrown so far under the bus, the fan base, the audience, the followers, subscribers won't even see it. So avoid posts that say that. You'll want to be creative in how you want them to engage, and usually that means posting engaging content, and that's only really something that you can find by testing it. So let's bounce a couple ideas off here. Here's one tip that you can use. Copy content that had high engagement in the past, but adjust it slightly to see if anything changes. Now, when I managed a very large client for a very large corporation, they had a couple ideas of how they wanted to go about it. We had some pillar content going on. By pillar content, I mean every single week we posted the same kind of style post, and in this case it was Throwback Thursdays. So every Thursday we would post something that happened in the past, in the company's history, whether it was a product, service line, something in the past that they just wanted to bring to the forefront to remember. So we ran with that idea, and we noticed something. Certain types of these Throwback Thursday content posts were getting a lot of engagement, and some others weren't. So we ran with the content that was working, and the engagement rate exploded. Actually, from that led immediately to growth on the Facebook page. More people were liking it. but it also led to a call from corporate saying, I don't know what you guys are doing, but whatever it is, keep it up. You see, what we had stumbled across was, for this particular client, the most engaging content that we posted was that featuring something from the company's history or employees and featuring them. It very quickly turned into we featured employees who worked at the company, and most of the audience who followed were either the employees who worked at the company or their family, friends, and relatives. And as soon as they got featured on Facebook, it went viral. And corporate had noticed it, and they said, I don't know what you guys are doing. We said, well, turns out your fan base is largely made up of the employees, friends, and the employees and the friends and relatives of the employees who work at your company. So it looks like you have a large fan base of very happy workers and family and friends. And they said, this is awesome. This is great. Well, keep doing it. So we did. And content since then has remained high ever since. So all we had to do was really tweak or adjust a couple of things, but once we found that, it took off. Third tip, contests are always high engagement. You want to be careful the way that you do it. Keep in mind, you can't say like, share, and comment to enter this contest. You're going to have to do different ways and get a little bit creative. You might have to say pick A, B, and C or something else. But you'll want to find a way to engage that way with contests based off of the giveaway, if it's a product, a service, a discount, whatever the client is in mind for promoting as a contest to give away. But it always has high engagement. Done correctly, you can get a lot of engagement off of that post. Now, you don't want to do it all the time. Be strategic in how you plan these contest type giveaways, but you'll get high engagement that'll benefit from that post and lead over to the audience being able to see all the other content that you have going on that page or profile as well. One tip you want to keep in mind is boosted content always gets more reach, but it may lead to less engagement. And this is ultimately something that's up to the client and up to you. If you want more people to see it, might be more of a brand awareness type of post that you just want to boost. But if it's something where you want specific engagement, boosted post might not get you there. If it's a conversion, a boosted post might not get you there, and you might not actually be able to promote it because Facebook might look at it and say, yeah, that one is a conversion. If you ran it as a Facebook ad, that might be a little bit better. If you could do that, that'd be great. And you're like, I just wanted to boost the post. Well, the algorithm changes all the times, and good luck trying to figure it out on a day-to-day basis because each platform changes and each platform is different and it changes at various random times, and we'll never actually figure it out because the variables are always up in the air. The final thing that you can do when it comes to testing for engaging content is to ask the audience. Now, depending on how you want to go about this with your client, this is where you want to kind of pose a question or share something in a way where you're asking the audience who follow that page, brand, what they're looking for. And from that, you can determine their needs, wants, desires, and kind of help you along the lines preemptively, even throughout managing this client, what they want to hear from, good, bad, or otherwise, and then you'll kind of figure out guidelines of what I should be sharing, what I shouldn't be sharing, and then you might stumble across something that actually works. Heck, always ask the audience if you're able to. Now, usually if they're engaged and they are interested and they want to keep up to date and they do want to be helpful, they will be happy to share. So that is the last agenda item that we're going to cover for tonight's presentation. We looked at creating an intake form, repurposing for other platforms, leveraging content from your community, and testing for engaging content. 4 ways to help you save some time during content production when you're creating posts for social media profiles. Before I go any further, just want to ask one last time if there are any questions. If there are, let me know down below or shoot me an email, taylor@steadfastsocialmedia.com, and I'll see what I can do to help reply to that. But before we wrap up here, I just wanted one more poll. What did you think of this presentation? Did you love it? Did you not like it? Did I miss something? Now, I know what you're going to say. Taylor, you only covered 4 ways. I know, because I'm only able to share 4 for right now. I know there's tons more ways. If you loved it, awesome. If you think I missed something, let me know. I am always open to feedback, good, bad, or otherwise, and I'm more than happy to go into depth sharing more ways that you can save time during content production. There's kind of 3 stages that I think about production. There's the research phase, there's actual creation, and then there's kind of the internal review and proofing. And if we can kind of optimize all 3 of those stages, and if we can do it in those 3 stages, from research to the creation to the proofing, that'll save you a ton of time. And I know there's probably questions within those 3 groups, or maybe before that or after that. So if I did indeed miss something, let me know if I missed it and if it's something that you'd like to hear on the next presentation that I do. But before you go, I want to provide those of you still watching 3 free gifts that I want you to take advantage of. Now, we're providing this for no charge. This is worth hundreds of dollars, courtesy of Steadfast Social Media. The first thing we want to provide you with is a free ebook. It is 48 social media post ideas. Now, you don't have to do it in order. You can kind of pick and choose, look over what you'd be interested in. This is kind of an ebook to get the idea generator in your mind working. If it's kind of slowed or stopped, this is a great boost to help you come up with some ideas really quickly on the fly when it comes to content creation. The second thing we want to provide you with is free trial content. At Steadfast Social Media, we create content exclusively for social media agencies, kind of white label on behalf of their clients, all the way from creation, review, editing, and even scheduling. But I know what you're going to say right now. I don't really know exactly what I want, but maybe if you guys could create a couple posts for me or a client that I have, I'd be able to get a better feel for what you do. We'd be happy to help out with that. You can actually request 2 custom posts from us if you go to steadfastsocialmedia.com/free-trial. We'll just need a little bit of information from you. No credit card required, no charge. We'll just need a little bit of information, whether it's for you or a client that you manage. This will be custom created content, not generic. We're actually going to be doing what I covered in this presentation. We'll be looking at the websites, the social media profiles, matching the content to the brand voice, brand colors, and the other guidelines that we're able to kind of glean from that, and then create 2 custom handwritten, and the images will be hand designed for you as well. So you'll definitely want to take advantage of this, because this is kind of going to provide you with the easiest way. Get 2 free posts out of it for free. The final gift I want to leave you with is an exclusive discount code for simply watching tonight's presentation. You can get 10% off any of our packages. During the checkout, simply use code WEBINAR to be able to take 10% off, and it applies for any package that you look at. You can head on over to steadfastsocialmedia.com/pricing for more details. We do offer one-time and subscription type packages. We do have special features depending on which you choose. For some, you might just want the content upfront. For some, you might actually need scheduling done. But in either case, feel free to take a look at that and take advantage of the 3 free gifts that we have available to you at no charge. So thank you so much for tuning in to watch tonight's presentation. We will be back on Monday with more ways to help you save time during your content creation, and on Thursdays for our live Q&A/AMA type events on Facebook Live. Have a great day.